When people think about Saudi Arabia, they still imagine oil fields, deserts, and maybe the holy cities. But what if I told you that right now, in this exact moment, Saudi Arabia is building more new cities, more infrastructure, and more futuristic projects than any country in human history? Not one or two megaprojects, but dozens. Entire regions are being redesigned from nothing. It's not just construction, it feels like a civilization reboot. And as a journalist, I keep asking myself one question. Are we witnessing the birth of the future, or the most ambitious gamble ever attempted by a nation?
As an engineer, I can tell you honestly, even people inside the industry are still trying to understand the full scale of what is happening. This is not normal development. This is not a few skyscrapers or transport upgrades. Saudi Arabia is attempting to redesign how cities function, how economies work, and how humans live in extreme environments. We are talking about projects that would each be considered impossible on their own, yet Saudi Arabia is building them all at the same time. It's like watching multiple Dubai-scale transformations happening in parallel, but on a much larger and more complex level.
So let's start from the beginning. Why did Saudi Arabia even decide to do this? For decades, the country was already rich. Oil money was flowing, the economy was stable. Why take such a massive risk and spend trillions on projects that sound like science fiction?
Because oil is not the future, that's the simple answer. Saudi leadership realized something very early compared to many other oil nations. Oil will not last forever. Demand will eventually decline. The world is moving toward electric vehicles, renewable energy, climate responsibility, and digital economies. And when your entire national income depends on one resource, that becomes dangerous. Vision 2030 was born from this fear and this ambition at the same time. It's basically Saudi Arabia saying, we refuse to wait for decline. We will reinvent ourselves before the world forces us to.
Vision 2030 sounds like a political slogan, but when you actually study it, it feels more like a civilization plan. Not just economic reforms, but social reforms, tourism, technology, education, entertainment, culture. It's like Saudi Arabia is compressing 100 years of development into 20 years.
Exactly. Vision 2030 is not a single project. It's a framework for national transformation. The idea is to move from an oil-based economy to a diversified economy. That means tourism, logistics, entertainment, sports, manufacturing, technology, finance, AI, renewable energy. And to achieve that, they needed physical platforms, real cities, real infrastructure, real global hubs. That's why these megaprojects exist. They are not just buildings. They are economic machines designed to generate new industries.
And this is where NEOM enters the story. Because NEOM doesn't feel like a normal city, it feels like something taken from a movie script about the future.
NEOM is probably the most ambitious urban experiment ever attempted. It's not one city. It's a region the size of a small country built from scratch in northwest Saudi Arabia. Inside NEOM, you have multiple sub-projects, each designed to test a different future lifestyle. The most famous is The Line, which is a linear city, 170 kilometers long, with no cars, no roads, no emissions. Just two parallel mirrored buildings stretching across the desert, powered entirely by renewable energy.
The Line still breaks my brain. A city with no streets, no traffic, no traditional urban layout, everything stacked vertically. Schools, hospitals, offices, parks, shopping, all within a 5-minute walk.
From an engineering perspective, The Line is revolutionary and terrifying at the same time. The idea is to eliminate urban sprawl. Instead of spreading cities horizontally and destroying land, you build vertically in a straight line. Transportation becomes underground. AI manages energy, traffic, climate control services, but the real challenge is human behavior. Can humans adapt to such a controlled environment? Can social life function inside a linear structure? We don't know. That's why NEOM is not just construction, it's social engineering.
Then there's Oxagon, which somehow sounds even more insane. A floating industrial city.
Oxagon is designed as the world's largest floating industrial complex. Think of it as a futuristic port city built on the Red Sea, using modular floating platforms. It's meant to become a global manufacturing and logistics hub, powered by clean energy, robotics, AI, and automation. Traditional industrial zones are ugly, polluted, and disconnected from human life. Oxagon is trying to prove that industry can be clean, smart, and integrated into urban living.
And then Trojena, a ski resort in the middle of the desert.
Trojena is a mountain destination inside NEOM, located at high altitude where temperatures are naturally cooler. They plan to use advanced climate engineering to create artificial snow. It will host winter sports, luxury tourism, adventure travel, even the Asian Winter Games. Symbolically, Trojena represents Saudi Arabia's message to the world. Geography no longer limits us. Technology allows us to build any climate anywhere.
This feels like Saudi Arabia is trying to redesign reality itself.
In a way, yes, and that mindset extends beyond NEOM. Take the Mukaab in Riyadh. It's planned to be the largest building ever constructed on Earth, a cube so big that you could fit multiple Empire State Buildings inside it.
The idea of a single building becoming a city is fascinating.
The Mukaab is part of New Murabba, a new downtown district in Riyadh. Inside the cube, there will be immersive digital environments, holographic worlds, entertainment, hotels, offices, retail, cultural spaces. It's not just architecture, it's mixed reality urbanism. The building itself becomes a digital experience.
And then you have the Red Sea Project, which feels like Saudi Arabia entering the luxury tourism competition at a global level.
The Red Sea Project is about ultra-luxury sustainable tourism. Over 90 islands, coral reefs, eco-resorts, marine life protection, carbon-neutral operations. They want to compete with Maldives, Seychelles, Bora Bora, but at a much larger scale. It's about attracting high-net-worth tourists, investors, and global attention.
Qiddiya is another interesting one. Entertainment city near Riyadh.
Qiddiya is designed as the entertainment capital of Saudi Arabia. Theme parks, Formula One tracks, esports arenas, water parks, stadiums, adventure sports. It's about changing lifestyle. Historically, Saudis traveled abroad for entertainment. Now Saudi wants to bring entertainment home and export it globally.
Then Diriyah Gate, which feels like the opposite of all this futuristic madness. It's about heritage.
Diriyah is about cultural identity. It's the birthplace of the Saudi state. The project is restoring traditional Najdi architecture and turning it into a global cultural tourism hub. Museums, historical districts, luxury hotels built in heritage style. It balances the futuristic vision with historical roots.
And this isn't just about iconic projects. There's serious industrial development too. Jazan City, logistics zones, ports, airports.
Yes, Jazan City is a massive industrial and economic zone focused on manufacturing, energy, and logistics in southern Saudi Arabia. New ports are being built. King Salman International Airport in Riyadh is planned to become one of the largest airports in the world. Logistics zones like Al Qamra near Jeddah are designed to turn Saudi Arabia into a global trade hub connecting Asia, Europe, and Africa.
Riyadh Metro is another huge transformation. People underestimate infrastructure, but it shapes everything.
Riyadh Metro is one of the largest urban transport systems ever built at once. 6 lines, fully automated, hundreds of kilometers. It's designed to reduce traffic, pollution, and improve quality of life. And then you have Sports Boulevard, green corridors, stadiums, cycling paths, public spaces. Saudi cities are being redesigned for people, not just cars.
When you look at all this together, the scale becomes almost unreal. We're talking trillions of dollars.
Estimates vary, but total investment across all Saudi megaprojects could exceed $2 to $3 trillion over the next decades. That's larger than the GDP of many countries. And this money is not just Saudi money. It involves global investors, sovereign wealth funds, international banks, and companies from every major economy.
Which brings us to the global players. This is not a Saudi-only story.
Absolutely not. Companies like Bechtel, Atkins, AECOM, Jacobs, Samsung, Hyundai, Vinci, Accenture, Oracle, SAP, Siemens, Arup, and hundreds more are involved. Architects from Europe, engineers from Asia, consultants from the US. This is probably the most international construction ecosystem ever assembled in one country at one time.
But building in the desert is not easy. From the outside, it looks like unlimited money solves everything, but reality is different.
The desert is one of the most hostile environments for construction. Extreme heat, sandstorms, water scarcity, remote locations, unstable soil. You need massive cooling systems, desalination plants, logistics chains for materials, worker accommodation for hundreds of thousands of people. Even concrete behaves differently at high temperatures. Steel expands, electronics fail, it's engineering on hard mode.
And yet, Saudi Arabia is also trying to make all this smart. AI, digital twins, robotics.
Yes, these projects are laboratories for future technology. AI is used to manage traffic, energy, security, climate control. Digital twins allow engineers to simulate entire cities before building them. Drones inspect construction. Robots perform dangerous tasks. Smart grids manage electricity. NEOM in particular is designed as an AI-native city.
But we can't ignore the criticism. No transformation at this scale happens without controversy.
There are real concerns: environmental impact, human rights, displacement of communities, financial sustainability, social adaptation. Some critics argue that these projects are too ambitious, too expensive, too fast. Others question whether people will actually want to live in cities like The Line.
And the biggest question, will it succeed?
That's the question no one can answer. Historically, megaprojects fail more often than they succeed. But Saudi Arabia has something unique: political will, financial power, long-term planning, and a clear existential motivation. They are not doing this for prestige alone. They are doing it because they believe survival depends on it.
It feels like Saudi Arabia is betting its entire future on this transformation.
Yes, this is not diversification. This is reinvention. They are trying to move from being a resource economy to a platform economy, from oil exporter to experience exporter, from desert nation to global hub of culture, technology, tourism, and logistics.
When future historians look back at this era, they won't just see buildings. They'll see a moment when a country decided to rewrite its destiny.
And that's what makes this so powerful. These projects are not really about steel and concrete. They are about human ambition, about fear of decline and desire for relevance, about proving that nations can still dream big in a world that often feels stuck.
So maybe the real story of Saudi Arabia's mega projects is not whether every building gets finished on time. It's whether a society can transform itself peacefully, intentionally, and intelligently.
Exactly. This is a social experiment on a national scale. If it works, Saudi Arabia becomes a model for how countries can reinvent themselves in the post-oil, post-carbon, post-industrial age. If it fails, it becomes a warning about the limits of ambition.
But either way, the world is watching.
Because what Saudi Arabia is doing is not just about Saudi Arabia. It's about the future of cities, the future of economies, the future of how humans organize life on this planet.
And maybe that's the most powerful part of this entire story. In a time when many nations are afraid of change, one country decided to build the future at full scale, in real life, with real risks, real money, and real consequences.
Saudi Arabia is not just constructing buildings. It is constructing a new identity, a new role in the world, a new vision of what a nation can become when it refuses to be limited by its past.
This is not just the largest construction boom in human history.
It's one of the boldest experiments in human ambition ever attempted.